Welcome back and welcome to the Media Roundtable. Once again, it's still the morning breeze, and on such a Friday, we get to have journalists, communication specialists sit on Roundtable as such. It's not a round and circular as many of you would want it to be, but we get to discuss the issues that have made headlines in the week, and get to look at it in the media, in a media way, in a journalistic perspective, because these are the people who get to have the information. They meet the newsmakers, and sometimes part of that information is as well never shared in the news stories or in the paper stories that you do get. So we get to dissect part of that information. And just shortly before we did take a break, we were still talking about the media role and the coverage in the events concerning Arua and the aftermath. Did they live up to the standard? Did they fall short of the glory of objectivity and being neutral? That's part of the discussion that we're still having. But as we took the break, of course, Fabrice had mentioned, the lack of communication sometimes that does come in from government, because it's two-way traffic. The media is a partner to government. I will come to Dalton, I think, who has been disciplined today a little bit, much more than Simon has always been. Dalton, I will give you space to comment on some of the issues that we did talk about, and most especially the aspect of government being reactive, like Fabrice did say. Why doesn't government come up then to share part of this information?
You know that there's a lot of intrigue in government, and it's not just because NRM government, but it's a historical problem that we've had. I can tell you, when Media Center was being established, one of the people that are pushing it was Robert Kapshenga. He anticipated that was going to be the executive director of Media Center. Fights came, fights here. He was shoved. Someone else came. And they lacked, despite having a good facility like that, they lacked cohesion in information flow. The very reason you will find that when Frank Tumwebaze realized that maybe he's not getting much, he established another center. What do they call it? Center for what? Governance?
The Government Citizens Interaction Center.
Exactly.
Wow. The GCIC.
It is actually part of the Media Center.
Explain why we
it is part of the Media Center.
It was not rival the Media Center.
It is actually part of the Media Center.
Its role is to do mainly online and social media.
Yes. Why
Then the Media Center is a platform.
It is.
And I said,
okay,
I said perhaps, if maybe in his judgment,
Media Center
it is part of the
Media Center.
interaction between
journalists and the government.
And I said, Wetasa, I said perhaps things were not working out. Maybe in the online area, it was not working out. They established another center, the Duncans and maybe the Fabrics are there to help sometimes. But still,
No. Fabrice does not work at the
Fabrice is independent. Let's skip that.
Okay, he is protected.
I now supervise the GCIC. I can tell you that Dalton, Fabrice does not work there.
But you would love to use him there. The point here is
partner, but he doesn't work there. He's not yet.
Let's listen to
when it quacks like a duck and walks like one, definitely it will be one. But the point here is the point is that there has been a lack of cohesion in information flow. And what you must appreciate, Wetasa, that where I sit as a journalist, I pick a lot of information than you pick. I talk to the real soldiers, I talk to the SFC, I talk to the ministers, I talk to the PSS. So I'm able to gather what is going on. By the time I put it out and you say, but that is not what we discussed and agreed, yes? There's another layer that I decided, contrary to what you have decided. And they have not informed you. So that can't be a media problem. But for me, as I get off Mildred, the blame game the blame game on media is part of the wider question on the governance problem in this country. And the wheel, what I've called the wheel of violence in this country. We shall discuss the media players, the Simon Kagwanjalas, who, in the eyes of Wetasas, are biased because they have all allegiance to a given group. The Simons will go. A new crop will come. We will not have discussed the core of the problem. Not like violence. I can tell you in this country, political violence started way back in 1967. If you go back, we discussed the players. We did not discuss that violence actually is in the DNA of Ugandans.
Oh no.
I can tell you.
Oh no.
Let me qualify it.
Not all Ugandans, maybe Ugandan, the leaders.
Yes, listen to me.
Fabrice,
listen to me.
Which report?
Let me look at the region itself. Give me one. Tanzania has not changed government forcefully like we've done. How many times? Kenya has not done that. Yes? But I want you to give me your facts on that. I'm giving you what is happening. So if you contrast it with people that have not...
You mentioned the region.
Yes.
You stopped with 2 countries.
The region?
East Africa.
I'm talking about East Africa.
Stopped at 2 countries.
Yes. How many other countries do you want?
There's Burundi.
But
Rwanda, did it change? What happened to Rwanda?
Let's keep going.
What has happened?
What
has happened to the South Sudan?
Yes.
So the point is that we will discuss the actors.
Yes.
The UPC was here. They meted violence. They left. The Tito Okello team came.
Yes.
The same story. The NRM said they are going to stop it. That we are having it. Some people thought that when they unleashed the Kalangal Action Plan, they monopolized the violence.
Dalton, what do you think should be our focus of discussion in regard to media now?
Yes.
Because that discussion is going to continue in whichever government.
Exactly. So instead of discussing the injustice, can we put a mechanism? The story is the mechanism to ensure that both sides, the symbiotic relationship between the players, the callers, and the media remains. Okay. Because whether you like it, that is
through you, Mildred.
All right, yes, I'll come to you. And I want you also to give us a solution to how you think this can be rectified. I wanted him to touch on this.
Dalton, do you think there are areas the media can improve or not?
We are not free from reproach. Media, we have said it. I can tell you my personal experience. When I went to cover the 9th Parliament, there were so many gaps. I teamed up with some people who are in UPPA to say, look here, we can make these things straight. Because that time, MPs will just quote a law and the media, the reporters will go with it without cross-checking whether actually it is the will of the...
When you come for press conference.
I want to wind up with Mr. Watasa. I want to get a solution. How do you think we can rectify, we can remedy this relationship between government and the media so that we stop the blame game and the ping pong, but ensure that we work together because we need each other anyway?
We do, definitely. Mildred, as a government, we know that the media, you are great partners in governance, in democracy, but also in development. I actually thought we were going to touch on media and development when I came here. And that's why I was saying, if you have Arua the whole week, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, then it becomes a problem. You know that in this country, for example, UDB was re-established. Do we know who is eligible? UDC.
Whose problem is that?
You call here. The CEO.
And what we're avoiding is whose fault is this. Let's go back.
Call here. And she says, why don't you?
Dalton, 30 seconds. When a country is disciplined. When a country. This is no, you see the challenge. We are not in a church where the priest will come and say and will just nod. When a country politics drives the economy, not the other way around, the media itself would give it to them, and that will be the discussion. You're talking about UDB.
I was actually going to thank you. There's this program that at times comes up on Morning Breeze. I've seen you have hosted the youth program. The youth program, I've seen them here. Why don't you call Operation Wealth Creation? Why don't you call the Women Enterprise Program?
Why don't you reach out?
Exactly.
I don't agree with you. I'm on your side, but this side I will not agree with you because there it's you to reach out.
When I came here, I agree. But when I came here, I was called. Haven't I come? Why don't you call the CEO? The other day.
Mildred, when Ugandans are killed, in broad daylight, when Ugandans are tortured on the streets in broad daylight by UPDF and security forces, when Ugandans are shot seated in a car doing nothing, just seated, shot in cold blood. I want to respond to you. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. When those things happen, I am shocked, surprised that a government PRO will come on this on live TV and say, no, let me finish, sir, because I'm quiet when you speak. Sir, let me finish. No, let me finish. When these things happen, and you come here, a government PRO, and comes here and tells us Ugandans that why is it that Arua has been covered for 3 weeks? Are you serious?
From 6 to
that
midnight.
That is ridiculous.
Mildred, are we recycling stories?
Let's end up with Victoria.
How do you think this can be? Mildred, Ugandans have been killed. Ugandans have been battered. Ugandans have been brutalized. Ugandans have been tortured. It is therefore right that for 3 weeks or 3 months, coverage is put on that, because life comes first. There is no debate or question about that. When a government PRO comes on this television channel and tells us Ugandans that we should not be talking about fellow Ugandans being tortured,
no,
that is ridiculous. That is the first failing. No, it can't happen.
I'll come to you, Simon, just in a while.
Victoria.
But I also want to get a solution, because then every other time we'll keep on
ping-pong. And that's like I said, people need to start taking responsibility, both sides, and we find a solution that is to help us. So Victoria, I also think you're a bit unfair to the gentleman. I don't think he came and said people shouldn't talk about it. But as like we said when I'm thinking the spirit of this show is for people to give their opinion. I think the spirit of the show is for people to give their opinion, and his opinion was it has been given too much coverage, which I don't agree with.
Thank you very much.
It's his opinion, which he is entitled to.
That is fine.
Now, first, for start,
you can't get away with opinion.
That is fine. It is his opinion.
But I want a solution from you. I want to get a solution from you, Fabrice. Victoria, let's listen to Fabrice.
Let's talk about the facts.
Let's listen to Fabrice. Let's listen to Fabrice.
One, if you'll allow me first to respond to Dalton. No, DNA is not. Violence is not in our DNA in whatever way. But the problem here, you mentioned Kenya, you mentioned Tanzania, they have actually focused on something we failed to focus on. And that is people or country being greater than individuals.
Yes.
All our struggles are given to individuals. And like you've mentioned, all those individuals come and go. Yes. We had a time where violently, but guess what? We are fun. No.
Gentlemen and lady, if we can listen to each other, we'll be able to give our opinions.
Just allow me to land. You're mentioning the fact that you see, DNA goes into you saying that in our fabric. No. But, well, you did not mention the word political DNA. Yes. You said in Uganda's DNA. That's fine. But you see, the issue has been one and simple.
It's okay.
Dalton and the rest, can we listen to each other and have our opinions heard? Fabrice.
You have had every struggle, like you go back up to, from 1967, has been about individuals. There was Mutesa, then Obote, then Amin, then Mwanga, then Tito Kello, then Lule. It has always been about individuals. Just like we have today, Bobby Wine, last week it was Bessie J and so on. I think we need to, first of all, as Ugandans, to move from that and stop individualizing a struggle.
Okay.
When there is a struggle, can we make it about the people and not about an individual? Now, back to you asking what would be the solution for this whole failure or gap on both sides. One, government needs to communicate better.
Okay.
Two, the media on its part should not commercialize, like he mentioned, that it's become about him being asked, and I cannot verify this, but in his words, well, people commercialize news. Someone comes and says, if you pay me, this will not run. If you do this, this will run.
Or if you pay me, I'll drop this story.
Now, why can't we find a place where, first of all, government should start giving information that actually makes sense. I heard someone saying they gave him a laughable statement. Okay? Was that his opinion or was it the opinion of the media house? I don't know. But one, government should start giving people information that is actually digestible. Two, should we stop being verbose and sending to the media house a 3,000-page document and expect them to do your job of dissecting it and putting it out there? Even the Bible, which is the word of God, everyone has a way they interpret it. If I gave you a letter written by Fabrice, you can choose to pick the word reactionary and leave the word approach. And the way you put it out there, someone else will interpret it in another way.
Yeah.
So I think as a partnership, the media fraternity and the government need to find consensus which does not gag the media, but also supports government in its growth or in its dissemination of information.
All right, thank you very much, Fabrice. And I think you're the last person to give your opinion on how we can remedy this and mend the relationship between media and government.
Do you realize I'm the most disciplined panelist?
You are for the last 10 minutes.
I deserve some chocolate.
You are for the last 10 minutes. Go ahead.
You already have.
I've been imagining the red lines that have been drawn, and thank God Moses is here. Now I know what government thinks of us.
Thanks for.
He is Mr. Watassa, not government. Just like you are, Simon, not NBS.
Excuse me.
On this panel.
We invited him as a spokesperson of the office of the Prime Minister.
Did you ask him whether he's speaking on behalf or by himself?
For starters, he's here speaking for government in that capacity.
Mildred, you'll give me just 1 minute.
He's here speaking for himself. If you want him to speak for himself.
To detoxify Simon.
Njala,
excuse me.
Make your statement. Okay, then make your point.
Government has for a long time been too obsessed with blaming it.
But Simon, do you know you're part of government? Do you know you're a Ugandan? When you keep saying government, what do you mean?
NRM.
Break it down. Break it down, because you're part of government.
No, I'm not part of government.
Yes, you are.
You are a
part of
Ugandan.
a country. I'm part of a country.
And the government
I'm part
is
of
for-
an idea called Uganda.
Yes.
And the government is for which country?
A geographic expression.
And the government, which
the
government?
government is an entity that is ruling me, not leading me.
So you're not part of government.
If you want me to sound
What is the government
very
leading?
candid here.
Which government is leading what?
I
Or
think
ruling
you're
what?
misleading me.
I am asking you because I'm the moderator here. Government is leading what?
Ugandans. So they are
Are you a
governors.
Ugandan?
No, no.
Are you a
We are
Ugandan?
living in a world where they are the ruled and the rulers.
All right, make your point.
Now, we have, it reminds me of, I had a short stint in political journalism. There is a term called political obscurantism, that a regime would rather withhold information from the ruled so that they remain ignorant, so that they remain poor, so that they remain aloof, so that they remain totally disconnected. And that is what is obtaining here. The Watassas do not know. Actually, they fall in the third or fourth or fifth layer. They are simply told to regurgitate certain
And you get to ask for that?
Not
As a journalist who is supposed to look for information, do you ask for it?
falsehoods.
Making Simon,
Okay. Now, Moses will come and tell us, please put the past behind us. And as the media, it's our cardinal responsibility to push for accountability. The Arua story must trend, must continue, must live on, must endure, because there are so many gaps.
And part of my question was, how do we remedy this ping pong? Because you continuously say government is withholding information, and you as a journalist, you will not want to be asked if you have sought for that information.
No, there are a couple of things that we can do. Let's sort out the media center for starters, because it's now degenerated into a spin room for the party. I read
And
with
take that Moses.
no, I read with a lot of pain. No, I read of late. I don't know whether you've been reading the posts that are coming from media center. They are despicable.
We have.
In your opinion, still?
They are despicable. You get to the extent of saying Namboze is just pulling stunts.
Yes.
Yeah? Someone is pretending. A media center.
Really?
So what needs to change
information flow. A media center is meant to be a hub for information flow.
Yeah.
I remember when Honorable Frank Tumwebaze had just stepped in office. While I congratulated him, I told him, if you want to be successful in your job, the first thing, and we are ready to help you, take all the Watasas, the spokespersons of different MDAs, take them to Chankwanzi for some bit of orientation. And I offered myself
to be one of the tutors.
To give them a service.
Thank you, Simon.
The mind of a newsroom.
All right, thank you,
Because
Simon.
we are dealing with news. We are not dealing with propaganda.
Simon, a panelist
Unfortunately-
always has time, and your time is up.
Yeah, but my final one, government is stifling media.
Okay, thank
So
you very
there's
much.
no media growth in this country. It's a fallacy.
You have a minute. Yes, you do have a minute, Mr. Watis.
So,
Go ahead.
Mildred, I would like to say, by the way, I didn't come here to defend anything. I just came here to share with your viewers outside there.
Who are you?
I want to say finally that as government, we recognize we need to improve. I can tell you about 6 months ago, the cabinet took a decision to transfer all communication officers to be managed by my ministry. And that means we are going to support them better, find out who needs training and things like that. I can tell you, for example, there are ministries without public relations officers.
True.
We are working on that. We are going to hire more people like Dalton here.
And Njala next to you.
So that's
Please don't take
that's
sides.
why when you squeeze me, you should leave some space. So we want to do better. We want to do better.
We're winding up.
Let's keep engaging. We need
Okay.
each other.
Yes.
This country, we need to do better and agree on what we need to do as a country.
All right, Victoria, I have time
Yeah,
for you
within
now.
the 2 years we should have done
I
that.
have time for you now, Victoria, and as we are winding up, you have the leeway. You will definitely, all of us. You have the leeway to wind up speaking about any event that you think we probably have not touched on. You would have loved to talk about it in a minute.
I think I would have loved to have talked more about the way forward on the Roa aftermath.
Yes.
And what is going to happen next in this country, because many Ugandans are concerned about the direction of sequence of events. Just last night, I woke up this morning to read a tweet saying that at the airport last night, late night developments, Bobby Wine and Zake were arrested
Then
or
Chirudu
disappeared
Hospital.
from Entebbe Airport.
They were taken to Chirudu by
so-
security.
So it's concerning what's going on going forward. We have not really heard our president come up and talk about what exactly happened, what's going to happen next, condemn the acts of violence and reprimand the people who have been involved in this violence, the perpetrators. We are concerned as Ugandans. We are actually worried. We have been told stories by our parents of murderous regimes and Ugandans disappearing, people being killed, brutally tortured. And we are coming to see it playing live on our streets, and we are concerned. We want to hear from an elder like His Excellency the President. Let us come up and tell us what's going on and
is
what
on
is going to
Twitter.
happen
But
about
he
it.
has-
The tweeting, I think the tweeting for me, I will, the tweeting and statements from the media center. Sometimes you look at the Twitter and you say, but really,
But he's
can somebody
communicated
really
because you're
say
asking for
this?
communication.
But officially for him to come up maybe and have a press conference
Okay.
and talk about it. Because these things need to be talked about.
Which
But you see, it might be
we are
old
really
school,
good.
Mildred. These things might be old school, but it is such an important impact on the history of our country, because when something like this happens, of course, international media is all over it. When something of this magnitude happens to Ugandans, of course, we are all concerned. And whether it's old school or not, it is only proper and right that our leader, our elder, comes in front of us and tells us and reassures Ugandans on what's happening, why it has happened, and what the way forward is. These issues of, well, somebody's pretending, well, you know, but this,
the CDF and the IGP.
When a life is lost.
And that's your minute now, as you're responding. That's your minute.
You see, Victoria.
I'm aggrieved by that.
So are we all. Just like you, Ugandans, so are we. But you see, it is wrong again. I talked about individualizing the whole process. We have a president, but we have a CDF who is actually responsible for the people you are saying perpetrated this. Just Simon,
Let him.
you had your minute and I kept quiet.
Get your minute.
Yes, finish.
You have an IGP
Yes.
who is responsible for that police force.
Yes.
And they did. And the head of prisons, they were all present and they gave their accounts. Whether you believe them or not, they gave what they believe to be the truth. Now, yes, Simon, that's what you are addressing. So yes, what they believe to be the truth.
Yes.
Now, the president gave a communication. He didn't go on TV because there are people whose job
Communication on Twitter?
It was not just on Twitter. It's a letter written by him.
Various
there was a letter
Yes, it's a letter. Actually, not a letter, but there are letters. Yes, to Ugandans.
We're saying?
Go ahead.
Again,
Cyrus,
there are letters. Victoria, you are the person in the media. If you have not seen these letters, then it's sad. Because he has written not just
it
one.
depends what you're calling a letter.
What is the letter?
Specific.
He did write. Yes, that's a communication. No, but it's for it to be a letter.
So many communications. Which one are you referring to?
Okay.
For clarity purposes.
For clarity purposes, on the Arua incidents, he has written, not once, okay, not once, but he has written expressing his opinion in this entire saga. Again, when the media fraternity sits and says, no, what he has written is not enough, then I ask, what exactly, because right now you're contradicting what you started with. You say we shouldn't be lagging behind, okay? We should move forward and all that. Now, he has gone ahead and accommodated that growth that you want and has disseminated information. Like I've been with you on both the failure of government and on what they have managed to do. But what I honestly agree, or what I honestly believe, is we shouldn't just throw a fall even on a place where people are trying. They have had press conferences, the CDF, the IGP, the head of prisons. You have had the president communicate. Now, I do not agree in any way that somebody should give, and I think Wetesa mentioned this, you should not go and give your medical opinion, okay? And say and call it a fact. Like saying Namboze is pretending, the other person is pretending. That is wrong. That is wrong, because these people have their doctors there. Let the doctor come out and say, Namboze is not sick, or Zake is not sick. Okay. The other thing is...
Media Center is listening.
Media Center is saying that.
Yes, I want them to.
Yes.
They can approach this in a better way, because the Media Center is the mouthpiece
of government.
Would have been.
Okay? No, it is.
Should be.
You guys
our time
always trying to do a good job. I
we've
can tell
taken
you.
all I think I'll wind up with Dalton. Fabrice,
No
you're
problem.
done?
No problem.
All right, thank you so much. Our time is out. Dalton,
Thank you
have a
very
minute.
much, Mildred, for bringing Moses. Maybe he just giving us information how they're organizing. Frank Tumwebazoine had just come in. He said that every he asked their cabinet decision had been taken for every spokesperson in different ministries to avail information and come to the talk shows. 2 years later, do we have them? No.
They are organizing.
They are still organizing. I hope that is not a wild goose chase that is Moses is talking about. But fundamentally for me, in Tanzania, as you summarize, in Tanzania, Ujamaa had failed. It had failed, but the people did not just rise up. In Kenya, Moi ruled with an iron arm, but people centered on what was at core of their problem. If we do not address what is at core of our problem, and we keep on saying this media is this, the other, will always miss the point. And that's what we tell people, the other side of government, that please look and appreciate certain things.
All right, thank you very much. And with Dalton, I think our time is entirely out. We cannot continue at all, but it's been a pleasure. We use that all the time, so we cannot have headlines today. We will definitely be able to get you more time. Thank you very much, Mr. Watasa, for coming here. On a lighter note, he says government is recruiting, so you need to watch your tongues. But that's just on a lighter note. That's just on a lighter note. Simon. Yeah, true. Thank you very much, Victoria. Thank you very much, Mr. Watasa. Simon, Fabrice, it's always a pleasure. And Dalton, that's all we had time for. Let's continue the discussion on social media. Maybe I'll just give one chance for us all to mention our Twitter handle so we know that we can communicate better. At
Dalton Kawesa.
At Fabrice Rulinda.
At Mildred Tuhaise.
Victoria Adneko.
At Moses Watasa.
At Simon Kagwanjal minus an A, so I'll help him. He was taking long to mention. But thank you so much for being with us. Have a very good morning to VS.